rule we could summarize it simply yet profoundly under the following words. 1. Egoic communication. 29.2. Cyclic meditation. 3. Coordination, or at one ment. The rules start off in a treatise on cosmic fire with a brief summary of the process, and a statement as to the nature of the white magician. I would like in this first consideration of our subject to enumerate briefly the facts given in the commentary so as to demonstrate to the aspirant how much is given him for his consideration and helping if he knows how to read and ponder upon that which he reads. The brief exegesis of rule I gives the following statements. 1. The white magician is one who is in touch with his soul. 2. He is receptive to and aware of the purpose and the plan of his soul. 3. He is capable of receiving impressions from the realm of spirit, and of registering them in his physical brain. 4. It is stated also that white magic A. works from above downwards. B is the result of solar vibration, and therefore of egoic energy. C is not an effect of the vibration of the form side of life, being divorced from emotion and mental impulse. 5. The downflow of energy from the soul is the result of A. constant internal recollectedness. B. concentrated one-pointed communication by the soul with the mind and the brain. C. steady meditation upon the plan of evolution. 6. The soul is, therefore, in deep meditation during the whole cycle of physical incarnation, which is all that concerns the student here. 7. This meditation is rhythmic and cyclic in nature, as is all else in the cosmos. The soul breathes and its form lives thereby. 8. When the communication between the soul and its instrument is conscious and steady, the man becomes a white magician. 9. Therefore workers in white magic are invariably, and through the very nature of things, advanced human beings, for it takes many cycles of lives to train a magician. 10. The soul dominates its form through the medium of the sutratma or life thread, and, through it, vitalizes its triple instrument, mental, emotional and physical, and thus sets up a communication with the brain. Through the brain, consciously controlled, the man is galvanized into intelligent activity on the physical plane. The above is a brief analysis of the first rule for magic, and I would like to suggest that in the future as 30 the students meditate on the rules, that they make such an analysis themselves. If they do this during their consideration of each rule, they will approach the whole matter with greater interest and knowledge. They will also save themselves much looking back and reference. It will be seen from a consideration of the above analysis that a very clear summation is given and that the student is started in his study of magic with a brief understanding of the past situation, his equipment and the method of approach. Let us realize from the start the simplicity of the idea intended to be conveyed by my remarks hitherto. Just as in the past the instrument, and its relation to the outer world has been the paramount fact in the experience of the spiritual man, so now it is possible for a readjustment to take place wherein the outstanding fact will be the spiritual man, the solar angel or soul. It will also be realized that his relationship, through the form side, will be to the inner as well as the outer worlds. Man has included in his relation only the form side of the field of average human evolution. He has used it and has been dominated by it. He has also suffered from it and consequently in time revolted, through utter satiety, from all that pertains to the material world. Dissatisfaction, disgust, distaste, and a deep fatigue are characteristic very frequently of those who are on the verge of discipleship. For what is a disciple? He is one who seeks to learn a new rhythm, to enter a new field of experience, and to follow the steps of that advanced humanity who have trodden ahead of him the path, leading from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real. He has tasted the joys of life in the world of illusion, and has learned their powerlessness to satisfy and hold him. Now he is in a state of transition between the new and the old states of being. He is vibrating between the condition of soul awareness and form awareness. He is seeing double. His spiritual perception grows slowly and surely, as the brain becomes capable of illumination from the soul, via the mind. As the intuition develops, the radius of awareness grows and new fields of knowledge unfold. The first field of knowledge receiving illumination might be described as comprising the totality of forms, to be found in the three worlds of human endeavor, etheric, astral and mental. The would-be disciple, through this process, becomes aware of his lower nature and begins to realize the extent of his imprisonment, and, as Patanjali puts it, the modifications of the versatile psychic nature. The hindrances to achievement, and the obstacles to progress, are revealed to him and his problem becomes specific. Frequently then he reaches the position in which Arjuna found himself, confronted by enemies who are those of his own household, confused as to his duty and discouraged as he seeks to balance himself between the pairs of opposites. His prayer then should be the famous prayer of India, uttered by the heart, comprehended by the head, and supplemented by an ardent life of service to humanity. Unveil to us the face of the true spiritual sun, hidden by a disk of golden light, that we may know the truth and do our whole duty as we journey to thy sacred feet. As he perseveres and struggles, surmounts his problems and brings his desires and thoughts under control, the second field of knowledge is revealed knowledge of the self in the spiritual body, knowledge of the ego as it expresses itself through the medium of the causal body, the jnana sarana, and awareness of that source of spiritual energy which is the motivating impulse behind the lower 31 manifestation. The disk of golden light is pierced. The true sun is seen. The path is found and the aspirant struggles forward into ever clearer light. As the knowledge of the self and as the consciousness of that which the self sees, hears, knows and contacts, is stabilized, the master is found. His group of disciples is contacted. The plan for the immediate share of work he must assume is realized, and gradually work out on the physical plane. Thus the activity of the lower nature decreases, and the man little by little enters into conscious contact with his master and his group. But this follows upon the lighting of the lamp, the aligning of the lower and higher and the downflow of illumination to the brain. It is essential that these points should be grasped and studied by all aspirants so that they may take the needed steps and develop the desired awareness. Until this is done, the master, no matter how willing he may be, is powerless, and can take no steps to admit a man to his group and thus take him into his auric influence, making him an outpost of his consciousness. Every step of the way has to be carried out by a man himself, and there is no short or easy road out of darkness into light. The way of the disciple, the white magician, is ever one who, through conscious alignment with his ego, with his angel, is receptive to his plans and purposes, and therefore capable of receiving the higher impression. We must remember that while magic works from above downwards, and is the result of solar vibration, and not the impulses emanating from one or the other of the lunar pitris, the downflow of the impressing energy from the solar pitri is the result of his internal recollectedness, the indrawing of his forces, prior to sending them concentratedly to his shadow, man, and his steady meditation upon the purpose and the plan. It may be of use to the student if he here remembers that the ego, as well as the logos, is in deep meditation during the whole cycle of physical incarnation. This meditation is cyclic in nature, the pitri involved sending out to his reflection rhythmic streams of energy, which streams are recognized by the man concerned as his high impulses, his dreams and aspirations. Therefore, it will be apparent why workers in white magic are ever advanced and spiritual men, for the reflection is seldom responsive to the ego, or the solar angel, until many cycles of incarnation have transpired. The solar Pitri communicates with his shadow, or reflection by means of the sutratma, which passes down through the bodies to a point of entrance in the physical brain, if I might so express it, but the man, as yet, cannot focus or see clearly in any direction. If he looks backward he can see only the fogs and miasmas of the planes of illusion, and fails to be interested. If he looks forward he sees a distant light which attracts him, but he cannot as yet see that which the light reveals. If he looks around, he sees but shifting forms and the cinematograph of the form side of life. If he looks within, he sees the shadows cast by the light, and becomes aware of much impedimenta which must be discarded before the light he sees in the distance can be approached, and then enter within him. Then he can know himself as light itself, and walk in that light and transmit it likewise to others. It is perhaps well to remember that the stage of discipleship is in many ways the most difficult part of the entire ladder of evolution. The solar angel is unceasingly in deep meditation. The impulses of energy emanating from him are increasing in vibratory rate and are becoming more and more powerful. The energy is affecting more and more the forms through which the soul is seeking expression, and endeavoring to control. 32. This brings me to the consideration of the seventh point I made in my earlier analysis of Rule I. I said, the soul's meditation is rhythmic and cyclic in its nature as is all else in the cosmos. The soul breathes and its form lives thereby. The rhythmic nature of the soul's meditation must not be overlooked in the life of the aspirant. There is an ebb and flow in all nature, and in the tides of the ocean we have a wonderful picturing of an eternal law. As the aspirant adjusts himself to the tides of the soul life he begins to realize that there is ever a flowing in, a vitalizing and a stimulating which is followed by a flowing out as sure and as inevitable as the immutable laws of force. This ebb and flow can be seen functioning in the processes of death and incarnation. It can be seen also over the entire process of a man's lives, for some lives can be seen to be apparently static and uneventful, slow and inert from the angle of the soul's experience, whilst others are vibrant, full of experience and of growth. This should be remembered by all of you who are workers, when you are seeking to help others to live rightly. Are they on the ebb or are they being subjected to the flow of the soul energy? Are they passing through a period of temporary quiescence, preparatory to greater impulse and effort, so that the work to be done must be that of strengthening and stabilizing in order to enable them to stand in spiritual being, or are they being subjected to a cyclic inflow of forces? In this case the worker must seek to aid in the direction and utilization of the energy which, if misdirected, will eventuate in wrecked lives but which when wisely utilized will produce a full and fruitful service. The above thoughts can also be applied by the student of humanity to the great racial cycles, and much of interest will be discovered. Again, and of more vital importance to us, these cyclic impulses in the life of the disciple are of a greater frequency, and speed and forcefulness than in the life of the average man. They alter